Hey now, cats, we're back again on the Balls from Ellwood show, and with me today is a man that I've loved since I've been very little. I watch Midnight Madness on HBO every 4 hours, and when we play on a heavy rotation, of course, everybody loves him in Greece. I grew up loving a little diamond in the rough horror comedy called Beverly Hills Vamp that he was in. Movies like Teenage Exorcist, I love growing up. I've been a huge Eddie Deezen fan. He's an actor, a voice actor. He's been in so many incredible films like I Want to Hold Your Hand, 1941, War Games. I could honestly go on all day about how much that I love this dude's work. But I mean, I could even talk about Dexter. When you're a man dark on Dexter's Lab. Like I said, I could go on all day, but we actually have to do an interview here. So, Eddie Deezen, it's been a long time coming. I'm so happy to talk to you. I just want to say thank you for doing this, and it is in fact an honor to chat with you, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Mike. And it's wonderful to be with you. You're my Facebook friend. I love you. And I want to apologize for the delays. I was just telling you, Mike, and I'll tell your listeners, I have a reputation for being a computer genius because of war games. I was the first computer nerd in movie history, so people think I'm this computer genius. And it's like Rock Hudson in the 60s when all the women thought he was this hot guy they could date, and he's this gay guy. So it's a total misnomer. I'm a computer idiot. My best friend Denise, is my de facto manager, she handles me for all my shows, all my signing shows. She fixed the computer, so we both thank her.
Yes, Denise saved the day today, Denise. We had a little technical issues before the show.
Denise bailed me out so many times over the past 2 or 3 years.
I couldn't thank her enough. Denise, thank you so much.
Okay.
Great to talk to you, sir. I want to get to you before we get to all your movies and career and stuff. I wanted to actually ask a little bit about you, Eddie. I wanted to know, where did you grow up at?
I grew up in Western Maryland, like Cumberland, Maryland. I was born in 1957. My 69th birthday is coming up in March. I was born in Cumberland, Maryland. Yes, which is the home of William H. Macy.
Nice.
Three actors, and Rebecca Arthur. I don't know if you know her, but she was on the show Perfect Strangers, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without
Arthur, she's very nice.
I love that show.
Yeah, she's a very lovely lady. I've met her. William Macy, I've never had the pleasure of meeting, but I went to school with, I think, his sister, Ellen Macy. She was my classmate at Braddock Junior High School.
What did you want to do when you grew up? I mean, have you always had passion to be an actor? How did that come to fruition?
That's a great question, and people ask me that. I think I was kind of cornered. I always was a comedian. I was always the class clown. I grew up loving the Three Stooges and Jerry Lewis and the Marx Brothers, so I loved all those people, but I didn't necessarily want to be one. And then when I was about 17 or 18, it was getting close to, the home stretch. I didn't want to go to college. I wasn't smart enough. So I'm 17 or 18. Dad said, what do you want to do with your life? And I'm thinking, I got to do something. So there was a Dairy Queen franchise for sale in Cumberland, Maryland. Dad said, "I'll buy you the franchise. You can run a Dairy Queen." But I didn't want to run a Dairy Queen. That was my choice. So I said, I'm going to go to New York and try to become a comedian. I'm in Maryland, so New York's fairly close. Now, this is the story, Mike. I'm going to tell you the story that changed my life for $1. $1 changed my entire life. We went to New York. Okay. It was the summer of 74. And I was thinking in these ideas, and I go, I'm going to go to New York and, try to get into the movies or try to get into TV in New York. So I went to New York. I was out walking the streets alone. I was this innocent idiot. I was so green. I was as green as a lime. So I'm walking the streets alone. I walk up to this guy. I happened to encounter this guy in the street. He was an African-American gentleman. I only say that because he was an African-American. Not that all African-Americans are hustlers. Most African-Americans are the most wonderful, nice people. But this guy happened to be a hustler. And I'd never met a hustler in my life. And I bumped into him on the street. He goes, "Hey, man, give me $1. I'll give you some change. Can you give me $1 for some change?" I go, "Sure." So I had $1 bill. I give him $1 bill. He stands there. I go, "Well, where's my change?" I go, "I gave you $1 bill. Where's my change?" He goes, "You didn't give me no $1 bill." I go, "Yes, I did, sir. I gave you $1 bill. Where's my change?" He goes, "You didn't give me no $1 bill." He was hustling me, I'd never been caught. So, Mike, I started to feel woozy. I started to feel a little bit dizzy and spinny. I'd never been caught like this. I realized, what am I, I'm not John Wayne. I can't grab him by the shirt and say, "Give me my friggin' $1." I realized this guy, he's a grown man. He's this guy. And I was a skinny little kid. I was a little boy. I was a skinny boy. I probably weighed like 120 pounds. I felt woozy, and he just walked away. So he cheated me out of my $1. At that moment, Mike, I resolved. I said, I'm not going to come back to New York again. I am not going to make my career in New York. I'm not going to live in New York. That changed my life. And I decided to go to LA. So that's what got me to move to LA. That instant, $1 changed my life. And I went to LA. Now, let's say I had moved to New York. I would never got Grease. I would never met Spielberg. I would never met Robert Zemeckis. I would never done those early films. It changed my whole life. I started on the Gong Show in LA. In New York, I had to do plays. I could never do a play. I'm not that good of an actor. Maybe they had some TV there, but my whole life would have been changed and I would not have lucked out like I did. When I got Grease 2 years later, when I was 20, I got Grease, it was a cattle call. And I got it, and that was like winning the lottery, so I wouldn't have won the lottery. So that guy changed my life. I don't know if he's even still alive, but if he's still alive and he hears this, I thank him.
Man, that's incredible that like just one decision can just shape the whole trajectory of your whole life.
Isn't that funny? I wonder if we all look back on our lives, are there moments like that? I don't know, but that was the moment of my life. That was the transitional moment of my life, my career, my future, my surviving. I could be dead now, who knows? I might have been dead now if not for that guy.
Well, let me ask you this, Eddie. Was there a defining moment in your life where you saw a film or an actor and then you knew that's in fact how you wanted to do this for life? Was there any sort of moment like that?
Well, my first hero, and people don't see it. I always get questions like that. And the obvious answer, I always say Jerry Lewis. You look like Jerry Lewis. Now, I was skinny. I always had a pretty high pitched voice. I was Jewish, so I did look like Jerry Lewis. And I loved Jerry Lewis in the Martin and Lewis films, and I loved the physical comedy, and I was kind of gangly like that. So I looked like Jerry Lewis. But my favorite, and Jerry was one of my favorite comedians when he was with Dean Martin. I loved those movies. They were a big influence on me. But my first hero was Curly Howard. And Curly Howard was my favorite comedian. And I don't know, you can vaguely see it, but it's very hard to see because I look so different physically than Curly. There's nothing, we're both Jewish, but that's all we have in common. Mm-hmm. He had no areas big. He was, he got a big belly, Babe Ruth belly. So I didn't look like him. I loved Harpo Marx. He was another favorite. And my smile is when I smile, hi, how are you? That's kind of Harpo Marx smile, but that's just the way I smile. So that's kind of the way it is. But those would be like my three favorite comedians. I love Charlie Chaplin. I love Buster Keaton. These were all my heroes. All the old timers were my heroes. I'm pretty much a reactionary with comedians. I love two of the current ones. I love Woody Allen, still one of my favorites. And I do look kind of like Woody Allen. I guess I'm not as brilliant as him, but I kind of look like we're both Jewish. We have glasses. We're both bad with women, And I love Larry David. Larry David is another one. Jewish.
Oh, Larry David's amazing.
With glasses. Curb Your Enthusiasm is the last TV show I followed religiously. I've been
such a great show.
Every episode.
All those people you've named are really, really good influences.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: what's the best part that you would say, and the worst part about being an actor?
Well, okay, the best part I would say, there's so many things, but when you work, obviously the money's unbelievable because you do a job. Most people, you do a job and the boss pays you. With us, I did Grease. Okay. I did Grease 48 years ago. Okay. We did it in the summer of 77, 48 years. I'm still getting good residuals. I'll still get residual checks for $500, $1,000 for it. I'm not
really. I don't ever expect it to be that much.
Residual checks are the gift that keeps on giving. Polar Express, I did 21 years ago. I get great residuals. Every Christmas it showed, whatever 20 or 100 times, on AMC. It was all. I'm still waiting for my residual for that. So you still get residuals. Residuals are perpetual. They go through all time. Some I'll get residuals. Some of the B movies I did, the residuals will be for like $1.68. They're very small. But the good movies you keep getting. I still get residuals from Magnum PI, The Facts of Life, all those shows. Wow. Yeah. So
is that great. For life? Like, does that go on the rest of your life? I never knew that. I always thought it was kind of like a cap. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, my lowest mic, the lowest I ever got was for 1 cent. I got a residual for 1 cent for something. I thought that's got to be the all-time record. And then I topped it. How did I top that? I once got a residual, I swear to God, for 0.00. I did John Belushi at Animal House, 0.00. It was a residual check. I used to have it framed in leg. It was zero check they sent me for 0.00. Why they even sent it, I have no idea, because it has no purpose at all, except to frame it. Anyway, the great people I've met, the wonderful people I've met, are all pretty much because of showbiz. And that's the wonderful people, Bob Zemeckis, meeting him, Steven Spielberg, John Belushi, the celebrities that I've worshiped that I've got to meet. Tom Hanks is my favorite star. I got to work with him.
Oh, wow.
That's the joy. The worst part is definitely the competition. It's a dog eat dog field. It's very hard. It's like a girl trying to be a supermodel. It's like there's millions out there, millions of people. And, this is 50 years later. I'm sure there's a lot more now than there was in 1977. The Guild has got so much bigger. When I started, Mike, it was the Screen Actors Guild had the motto. It was a catch-22. It was you can't work unless you're in the union. You can't be in the union unless you work. So how do you do this? Now, luckily, they booked me for Grease, and that helped me get in the union. They just hired me for Grease. That was my first job. That was my first movie. But nowadays, I think you can just walk in at SAG-AFTRA. They merge with AFTRA, and I think you can just pay the fee and join. So there's probably millions of members now. It's probably so huge now. It's unbelievable, the number.
That's interesting because yeah, I think it is way different because I have a buddy that actually just got his what is it, Screen Actors Guild card,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
That's
it,
the
yeah,
site card.
yeah, it's kind of like a oversaturated market now. I think so. It would
Yeah.
be really difficult to probably be an actor
Very,
now.
very difficult. You have to be extremely talented, like, with Tom Hanks or an Al Pacino, or Paul Newman, somebody really, really talented. You have to be very spy. But even then, they could get buried. You have to be lucky, or maybe somebody. There's always somebody wants you and they hire you. Like, when I got worked in 1941, it was because I didn't audition. Steven Spielberg knew me. He produced "I Want to Hold Your Hand." He knew me, so he hired me. So that's how I knew it. You make connections. So it's another way. It's networking. You try to make connection, and they'll just hire you because they know you. That would be a way out. But to just try to get through to an audition, it's extremely hard.
How is voice acting different from regular acting? And I mean, what do you prefer? Do you prefer that, or do you prefer actually physically being in a film?
Great question. And there is a two-sided answer. And it's dichotomy, black and white. The one side, I love voiceovers because why? I always had a hard time memorizing lines. It was always hard for me. Voiceovers, they give you the whole script and you just read it. It's a piece of cake. You read it. I walked down Main Street and saw a pretty girl. So I walked down Main Street and saw a pretty girl. You read it. You don't have to remember, hi, Bill, how are you? What were you doing today? Well, I walked down Main Street and I saw a pretty girl. You got to remember that. Mm-hmm. It's another ability. And Tom Hanks is a natural. Tom Hanks, Now in my early days, Mike, I used to literally, I would lock myself in my room, and I would go over the script over and over and over, and it eventually becomes ingrained in your head. But my mind got worse and worse. It drifted further and further. By the time I did War Games, I was really bad, and I kept screwing up my lines, and that was the turning point. War Games is where I kept screwing up the line. If you see my scene in War Games, it's one scene, but it's a pretty long scene. And I'm with Maury Chaykin and Matthew Broderick. And I had the words data encryption algorithm. And for some reason, I kept forgetting them, Mike. I kept going, data endocrine algorithm, cut. Data endocrine algorithm, cut. Data endocrine algorithm, cut. I kept screwing it up and screwing it up. So my director, by the way, was Marty Brest, who later did Beverly Hills Cop. I was not directed by John Badham. John Badham is famous for directing War Games. My director, Marty Brest, was there. He worked 12 days and they fired him. He did my scene. But anyway, Marty calls me over. He crooks his finger and calls me over like, I'm going to strangle this idiot. But he calls me over. Eddie, come here. We're going to go for a little walk. So literally, he put his arm around my shoulder and we went for a walk. We left the studio. We took a walk around the studio. And he goes, look, Eddie, he goes, you're costing the studio money. He goes, we're going to get you idiot cards. These things are called idiot cards. And he was a little bit upset. He goes, we're going to get you idiot cards. He pronounced idiot. And I guess they're cue cards, but he called them idiot cards. But anyway, he wrote my whole script on a card. I go, okay. So we did it. I got it in one take. I wrote the whole thing. Hi, hey, what's this? What's this, Lightman? Oh, this is how you get in through Falcon's Maze. I can't believe you're doing this, Lightman. And I did the whole thing. I read it one take. Data encryption algorithm. I just read it. It was easy. So that way it's easy. Or the ego, it's cool for an actor because you get to see yourself. It's fun being, I want to hold your hand. And 1940, when you do all this physical stuff, it's cool. I love doing physical comedy. And in those days, I was very limber. When you're 20, nowadays I have sciatica. I have,
Same here. I have sciatica. That's rough. Oh.
Yeah, it's a little rough. Well, I went to my 50th class reunion this year, Mike. And I stayed with this girl I had a crush on, Mary Ellen. I love her. And I love her to this day. I'm still in love with her. But I stayed at her house. For some reason, every seat in her house, none of the seats had a back to them. And I stayed with her for a week. And Mike, I was born with scoliosis. You'll notice me in my movies or when I walk, I have a crooked walk. That's because I have scoliosis. My right leg is 2 inches taller than my left leg. So I walk kind of crooked. But this really hurt my back. And when I got out of Mary Ellen's, my back was hurt so bad I couldn't even walk. Denise, again, this is how Denise bailed me out. Denise bought me an office chair. And I found that sitting in that chair, it really helped my back a lot. And it got down. Now I still have a little bit of sciatica. I'll get it in my right hip. I'll get like this stabbing pain. And a little bit in my back, but it's very, very minor. I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 1 or maybe a 1.5. Whereas my sciatica, when I left Mary Ellen's, it was like a 10. I couldn't even walk. And the only way I could walk when I started, I had to do a Groucho. I would bend over and I had to walk like Groucho. And that was the only way I could get around.
I'm only laughing because it's happened to me. I have it really bad myself. And I have to recommend something to you. They're not a sponsor, but my wife found this thing on the internet for sciatica. And it's this pillow that's contoured that you actually sleep with it between your legs and it aligns your hips. Because I guess apparently what happens, why sciatica happens is because your hips get off kilter while you're sleeping.
Right.
And then it ends up pressing your skeleton presses against the nerve.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. Okay.
And I tell you what, since I've been sleeping with that between my legs, my sciatica has been like 80% better. I have to say,
Interesting. What's it called?
it's kind of been a game changer. I'll send you a link here. And
Okay.
it wasn't very much. I think it was like $20, but I tell you what, it's
And-
helped tremendously. I
okay. What the heck? What the
can't
heck?
live without it. I don't think
Yeah,
it would
yeah.
hurt
It's minor
to.
now. Even if it doesn't work, I'll look at it. But even if it doesn't work, it's livable now. You know,
Yeah.
they always, is it manageable? Is the pain manageable? Before Denise bought me that chair, it wasn't manageable. It was torture. I was just in torture. But
Oh,
now it's very
I feel
manageable.
you, man. I used to, I used to have to, I'd miss like a couple days of work at a time because it was so bad. Like I understand completely. That's a
I
terrible
believe,
thing.
Mike, even, well, I was born with scoliosis, like I say, and the doctor looked at me when I was like 16 or 15, no, when I was a kid, and he goes, "You have scoliosis now." He goes, "It doesn't bother you now," but he goes, "In your later years, it might come back to haunt you." And I realized this is what happened. I'm 68, and it finally caught me at 68. My scoliosis, I think, finally caught up to me.
Oh boy. Yeah, I feel your pain for sure. It's just
Yeah.
that's
Well,
not a
it's
fun thing.
interesting. I think, Mike, I think it is the most common somatic in the world, back pain, back trouble. And you realize the back is like, it's like half your body. You know, if you look how long your backbone is compared to your body, it's like half your body is that backbone. So many things can go wrong with it.
Yeah, that's not fun at all for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm like, wow, am I really? Is this really? Now that I'm getting older, I'm like, this is what I have to look forward to,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Eddie, do you have a process to get into when you hear you have to play a certain character or certain voice? I mean, do you go like full method like Daniel Day-Lewis? Is there? Or let me ask you this too. I've always wanted to ask you
Sure.
when you get in a certain. Have you ever played a character that you get in so deeply that it's hard for you to go back to being regular Eddie Deezen?
No, not really, because my character is pretty much me. I'm pretty much a one-trick pony. I mean, I've always played this crazy nerd guy. You know, hi, Mike, how are you? I
But
put
I mean,
myself.
that's really close to how
I
you
get
are in real life.
myself, and this is how I really am in real life when I meet people. Hi, how are you? Hi. That's just the way I talk. That's the way I am. I love people very much, and I like to interact with them. And I've always had broad movements. I've always used physical movements. I switch it only when I get play like an evil character, like Mandark's kind of a bad guy, you know. All right, Dexter, I'm gonna get. He's kind of like a bad guy, but it's still me, you know. Surf 2, I played a mad scientist, the bad mad scientist. So that's about as far as I get as far as versus. Like I'm so far from being, you know, a versatile actor in the sense of Robert De Niro. You know, these guys can play anything. You know, these guys that can play any kind of role. Yeah, that's not me. I'm pretty much a one trick comedian, whereas a lot of the comedians pretty much play the same character, and that's pretty much how I am. Not that I'm in their league, but that's the way I am. I just play the same character.
Is it is it hard sometimes when you're so easily recognizable? Is there times where like it's inconvenient and it actually bothers you when people see you and want to be around you, talk to you so much? Is there ever
Oh,
times you're just like, man, I don't feel like talking to anybody today?
well, I'll give you an example, and this is totally true because you're my Facebook friend. You understand this. The
That's
time because I don't usually get recognized in public that much.
I
Denise
don't
will be at
believe
a
that,
show.
man. Like
Denise and
really?
I will be at a show, Mike, and I'll sign 100 autographs. Eddie, you're great. I love you, Eddie. Is Polar Express my favorite movie? Grease is my favorite movie, and they'll talk. And then Denise and I go out to dinner. Nobody recognized me. It does not. Here's where it happens, Mike. Facebook, where I
Oh,
get PM. Yeah, PMs. I get PM'd all. Eddie, how are you? Fine. How are you? Good. Okay, that's fine. Eddie, how are you? What's new? What do you got planned this weekend? What was John Travolta like? And they'll PM me. It's like, you know, not that I'm being mean, but I have a life and I don't have time to answer all your PMs. But this happens all the time. They'll send me PM and I'll try to be cordial and say, hi, how are you? And I'll go, I'm doing great. Happy Saturday, I'll put, you know. So, Eddie, what do you got planned this weekend? Well, I'm going to go out. Denise and I are going out to dinner. Denise has a show for me. I'll say, da da da. Good. Where's the show? Pittsburgh. Oh, how are you going to get there? Are you going to take the, you know, plane? Or are you going to drive it? And they'll start a conversation. It's like, it's not that I don't like you, but I don't want to have a conversation with you. I'm busy. It's my life. But these people think that because we're Facebook friends, they can ask me all these questions, which is not a mean thing, but it's a naive thing that I don't have time for. So I just have to stop writing. I'll just stop and I'll leave them. They'll go, you know, what do you got planned this weekend? And I'll just go to my Facebook page or I'll go outside.
I think it's one of those things where people think, oh, if I do this enough, like I'm gonna get in with you and like, we're gonna be BFFs, like
Yeah, maybe that's it. And I love all my Facebook friends. You know, I love you. I love my Facebook friends. They're great.
yeah, I get that a lot
But
too.
yeah, it doesn't happen. As
It's
far as
rough though, and I know what you're saying because like when
yeah,
you're in the middle of like I don't think people fully understand, like, you're not ever being mean. It's just like life happens and you have things you're dealing with at a certain time and you have things
Sure.
going on, and just like
Yeah.
everybody. And
Yeah.
then
I want to watch.
I think when you're a celebrity, I don't think people kind of make that correlation. Like, oh, like,
Right.
because I mean, you guys get put on such an upper echelon that people don't realize that you really are real people and you do real things and you have a real life.
Yeah.
So I like that
Exactly.
blurs the line, I think, a lot.
Right. I want to read my Beatles book. I want to watch the playoffs this weekend, and I don't have time for this, It's just, and I wake up in the morning and there's 30 PMs and I go through each PM, hi, Bill, happy Saturday. Hi, Mary, happy Saturday. Hi, Karen, happy Saturday. I'll acknowledge them all, but that's
I
as far
think
as,
that's very commendable, though, man. Because I know I'm friends with a few celebrities and they don't even, they just ignore it completely. So I mean,
yeah,
that's I think that's pretty amazing. So
yeah.
let me ask you: is there times that you've ever resented being cast as like their nerdy guy in your career early? I mean,
Um, I would say no, not really, because that's my bread and butter, and I have faith that's where I am. I'm not going to get a handsome leading man role. I'm not that type of a guy. I'm not a great actor. I'm not going to do Shakespeare like Tom Hanks. So that's
that's
pretty.
debatable. I feel like you are a great actor. I'm kind of
Thank
biased.
you. Thank you. Maybe sometimes with a great director like Bob Zemeckis or something, maybe I could pull something off. A good director helps me, and I
In
count on it.
fact, if I had
And
to compile a list of the most underrated actors that I actually love, I guarantee you would be on that list for sure. I
well,
see
you're
War
very
Games in the theater. I'm dating
Thank you. Very
myself.
kind. My roommate in LA always said that was my best acting role. He said he goes, that scene in War Games, it's one scene. He goes, that's the best thing you've ever done. He goes, you played a totally new character and you're totally convincing. And he goes, you look like you were really hurt. He goes, he just goes, you really brought that character to life. So that was his favorite thing.
I think so too, man. But let's
Thank
talk
you.
about your times on movie sets.
Sure.
Yeah, has there ever been a time on the movie set that was difficult? Have you ever worked with somebody that you didn't quite gel with, and how did you push forward through that?
I did my most uncomfortable film was ironically one of my best films, one of my funniest films. It was called Midnight Madness.
I
It was
love that. Oh,
Michael J. Fox's first film, Pee Wee Herman's first film. Michael and I became great friends. Pee Wee Herman and I became lifelong friends. I loved them both. They were both wonderful.
oh,
But some of the people on that film, for some reason, they thought a guy thought it was funny to keep making fun of 1941. I had 1941. It was coming out. It was, I'm in a Spielberg film, and he kept going, 1941 is going to bomb. And he kept like hounding me with that and heckling me with that. That kind of got on my nerves.
it was just jealousy, more or less.
He just thought it was funny, one of these guys. And I
Sure.
was just uncomfortable. There were a few people that just weren't that nice on that set. The directors were nice. It was the only movie I did with two directors. There's Michael Nankin and David Wechter. Maggie Roswell was very nice. The girl on my moped with me, she's on The Simpsons. She was lovely. But some of the people just weren't that nice on the set. And that was my most uncomfortable film. But ironically, it was one of the best films. And I turned out good. But that was one where I didn't enjoy going to the set because they just weren't some nice people.
Hmm. Has being a celebrity ever made things difficult in relationships? Well, being with loved ones, partners, friendships over the years, is it hard to be a celebrity and like to maintain friendships and relationships?
Um, well, out here is South Carolina. I'm pretty much isolated. That I know the nice people. They don't think of me that way. They just know me as Eddie. When I was in LA, the people that knew me, I think they just we were. I was friends with a lot of actors, and we treated each other fine. I think for me it's fine. Remember, Mikey, we have to qualify this. Let's qualify what a celebrity is. Let's in theory, let's make up this scale, which is a legitimate scale. Let's say it's 1 to 10. Okay, celebrity. Tom Hanks would be a 10. John Travolta be a 10, Steven Spielberg be a 10. These are 10s. As a celebrity, I'm probably about a 4 or a 5. I'm probably in the, I'm not a nobody. I wouldn't be a 1, but I'm definitely not a Tom Hanks or a Robert Redford on top, So I'm probably about a 4 or 5. So I'm kind of, it's funny. I asked this question when I was doing Polar Express. I asked of Tom Hanks, kind of what you're on to. I go, is it hard for you to go outside when you just want to do something? You want to go out and get a hamburger or something? He goes, no. He goes, I get a baseball cap. He goes, I pull it down way over my eyes, pull it down low. And he goes, I pretty much go out and nobody bothers me. That's what he told me. This
Really?
Tom, biggest, yeah. He's like the biggest, he's like the celebrity. And he said he would go out with a baseball cap. He usually didn't get bugged. So most people don't bother me. Sometimes I'll be talking, and we'll reveal it. I'll say who I am and they go, I thought you sounded familiar. Or they go, oh, I thought I recognize you. Or for instance, I did to get to your thing where I really meet celebrities would be at the signing shows. I did a signing show once with who? Sylvester Stallone. Freaking Stallone is there doing it. Yeah. To this day, I can't figure out why Stallone would be doing a signing show. Somebody might have been calling in a favor. He might have owed somebody a favor, but Stallone's at a signing show. And I'm there at the show, and Stallone does this, Mike. He goes, He goes, I'm the guy from Greece. He goes, that's it. So Sylvester Stallone knew me. He knew me vaguely in the recess of mine. He knew me as the guy from Greece. Same with Mickey Dolenz. The same thing of the monkeys, you know.
I love the monkeys, man.
Yeah, I
Oh,
love the monkeys. I love Mickey Dolenz. And I met him at a show and he did the same thing. He starts batting his finger. He like, I know you. And I go, I'm the guy from Greece. He goes, that's it. This exact same thing. He did the same dialogue. He kind of vaguely knew me in the recess of his mind. So that would be the extent it goes. The most celebrities I meet are when Denise and I do signing shows. Denise and I, you know, we'll make the rounds and we'll go, oh, you know, Denise wants to meet Sam Jones or whoever, and I want to meet whoever. And that's when I really see the celebrities. Yeah.
is it as exciting for you, like seeing celebrities, as it is for us to see? Like,
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. I've met her several times, but when I met Barbara Eden, you know,
oh, I met her. She was awesome.
she was my fantasy girl always growing up. I thought she was the most beautiful woman in history. She's always been my favorite fantasy girl. And when I met her, Mike, I literally couldn't talk. I thought, please let me talk. I'm do a harpo, you know.
I get that way too. I felt that way when I know Moira.
Nice to meet you. Well, this is what happened. She was so kind and gracious. She made it easy, you know. And you have to realize that I will meet people at my level of celebrity. I'm like a 4 or 5, and I'll meet people at shows and they're overwhelmed. And you realize this is a person, and we'll always pose for a picture. Let's get it solved, and we'll get a picture. And I'll feel them shaking. They're so nervous you can feel them shake. Put their arm in, yes, you know, then they'll be shaky, or it's hard for them to talk. You try to make them feel what it is. You try to be as kind and gracious as possible, which is what she did for me. And you try to do that for them. Now, it's me when sometimes you do a show and the celebrities are not friendly, you know, they're not cordial. And that makes it harder, you know, because you're seeing this is a person you've loved their movies, you know, it's Nicolas Cage or whoever. And this is, my God, you're great. I think you're great. And the other side of it is you have to remember who you're talking to. Again, I've been told this a million times, even at my level of celebrity. I go, Eddie, you're my favorite actor. Eddie, Grease is my favorite movie. Eddie, I loved you in Polar Express. They'll say that. And you realize you know how many times I've been told that? I've been told that literally thousands of times. How many times has Barbara Eden been told, you know, I think you're beautiful. I think you're great. You know, how many times, you know what I mean? How many times has Mel Brooks been told, you're the funniest guy in the world? What you do is you put it in a new unit of time. You bring it, you go, this is a new unit of time. And you realize, I'm looking at a fellow human being. Look into his eyes. This is an important moment for him. And, you know, I went through these moments too when I met Barbara Eden or whoever, or when I met Sylvester Stallone. You've got it by the balls. You know, you can do anything you want. They're like, you're pretty much causing their effect. So you try to be as nice as you can. It's so nice to meet you, sir. And I'll let them talk about themselves, you know, and you acknowledge them, you know. You try to be as nice as you can because, you know, we're all in this together. You know, Mike, Denise and I always say, there's 7 billion of us out. There's 7 fucking billion of us out here trying to make our way on this planet, you know. So you try to make it easy. You're doing a show and you want to make it easy for this guy and make this an important moment for this human being, you know, for this guy, you know.
I think that's really commendable because, like, I have been a guy that's been going to conventions a good majority of my life, and there's people that I've really, really admired and loved, and I've had such bad experiences with them that, like, it's made me not appreciate their work anymore. So, like, to hear that you know, or have so much forethought and care about that, it really is refreshing. I really, really commend that. But
I had a dichotomy, Mike. I had it black and white in one situation. It was like I'm talking about the dichotomies of good and bad people. I had it in one incident. I was doing a voiceover in LA, okay, at LA Studios. Who walks out the door? This is one of the most surreal moments of my life. Walking out the door is Dick Van Dyke and Mickey Rooney. They're walking out together. So it's these 2 gods, you know, these 2 Mount Rushmore gods. So there was me, was one guy. We all flocked. We immediately went to Dick Van Dyke. For some reason, we went there, and he was so nice, so warm. We all shook his hand. You were great. He was friendly, warm. He couldn't have been nicer. And God bless him. He's 100 years old. He's still going on. Then my friends go, let's go see Mickey Rooney now. And I picked up his vibes. I go, I wouldn't advise that. I go, I'd stay away from him. And they went up to him, and literally, Mike, he goes, get away from me, you kids. He was like,
I've heard he's kind of difficult.
He was a bit of a curmudgeon. Now, I later did 4 shows with him, and it was, again, the dichotomy, half and half. 2 times he was mean. 2 times he was like that curmudgeon Mickey Rooney. But once I was doing a show with him, I went up to talk to him, and he looked at me, and I looked in his eyes. I saw his eyes, and they were like lit up. And I saw that Mickey Rooney we all love, you know, from the 40s. And he was the nicest guy. Or, how are you? That, oh, it's so nice to meet you. Oh, you were in Greece. He couldn't have been nicer. And it was like 2 guys, and, you know, and you realize what you don't know about people. Maybe the guy was in pain, you know, who knows? I met one of my worst traumatic ones, Mike, was when I met Jerry Lewis, one of my all-time heroes. And I had seen Jerry live in Vegas. I'd seen him perform. I saw him in Damn Yankees. And I finally got to meet him once. He was signing his DVDs of a movie he did called The Jazz Singer. So I bought 3 DVDs. I'm going to finally get to meet Jerry Lewis and talk to him. So I brought my 5 DVDs, Jerry Lewis there. I spill my guts out, Mr. Lewis, you're one of my favorite comedians. I love the movies you did with Dean Martin, but dead silence. It's like he just glared at me. Dead silence. I went on a couple more things like that. Oh, I loved you. I loved you in the studio. I loved the Nutty Professor. I tried to add to, dead silence again. He just sits there. I went on like 5 times. I'm like shaky, about the faint. Finally, he was merciful enough. He literally he said 2 words to me. He goes, thank you. It was like, say thank you, Mary, to your grandmother for giving you this sweater for Christmas. He goes, thank you, Grandma. It was like a recorded thank you. It broke my heart,
Yeah.
So he finds my DVDs for me. I took them. I go to my manager in the car. I go, do you want to buy these DVDs for me? I'll sell them to you for what I bought them for. He goes, I thought you wanted to meet Jerry Lewis. What happened? I go, I just met Santa Claus and he kicked me in the balls. Because this meant so much to me. Now, the story has a bit of a nice ending. Before he passed away, Jerry did a book with my friend Jim Neibauer, who's a friend. He's a writer. Jim Neibauer told him about me and told him about the incident, how much it meant to me. So in the year he died, it was 2017. I look in the mail and there was a manila envelope. It said Jerry Lewis Productions. I opened up the envelope. There was an autographed picture of Jerry Lewis. It said, to Eddie, my look-alike. Love, Jerry Lewis. So Jim told him that story and he was nice enough to send me that before he passed on.
Oh, that's nice. At least there was some closure. That's good. Because there's a couple people I could think off the top of my head that I haven't had that closure with, and it's still kind of
with you, Mike. What happened? Who was your worst?
Boy, I hate naming names, man, but I have to say, I mean, there was a dude. Do you know who Jeff Lieberman is?
Jeff Lieberman. No, what was he in?
He's a famous. Well, I guess he was a famous director. He did like a bunch of like low budget horror films that I liked back in the '80s, and I was always excited to meet him. And I went up, I kind of did what you did, where I told him how much he meant to me and I love his films and this and that. And he could not care less. Like he just kept trying to sell me all his merch, which I had already. Like I was a fan. Like I wasn't bullshit. I'm like, I really had everything that he had. And he's like, oh yeah, big fan. You don't want to buy nothing, And I'm like, I already have it all. But I'm like, and then yeah, and he was just so rude and mean. It kind of broke my heart. Now I can't watch his movies anymore. Like I've seen him at other conventions, and I tried to give him another chance, and same thing, man. He's just not a
same guy.
Some people are just miserable, and they just want to. You could tell who's there that legitimately cares and wants to be there. You could tell who just doesn't care and wants to just get a paycheck. So I mean,
you just want to get paid.
And fans are smart, man. They could tell if you want to talk to him and if you don't want to talk to him. And I mean, we're pretty. It was it just kind of broke my heart. And I did have a moment like you though. I had a bad incident with David Naughton once, and then that broke my heart.
He was so nice. I did Midnight Madness with him, and he couldn't have been nicer. So
I had a bad incident with him, but then
what happened with you?
Well,
he couldn't have been nicer with me.
You know what it was though too. I feel like there were some people before me that irritated him with like stupid questions. And then he was kind of still like stewing about it. And then he just kind of nonchalantly met me and was like, yeah. But the good part is I met him many years later. And like you said, he couldn't have been nicer. It kind of, because I was crushed, man. Like I had a hard time watching American Werewolf in London after that. Right. And all his other movies, and once it was cool. But yeah, it's funny because like you have that forethought of just how much this does mean to people.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of the times, and at least the people I know, I mean, they don't have a lot of money, and like this is kind of a big deal to save up for. And I'm not saying that everybody should just kiss everyone's ass, but
right.
I think it's nice that you realize just how important these kind of things are to people, because I know I think a lot of the times people just kind of take it for granted and don't really think that far in advance, and then it's just like it's just no big deal, but it really kind of is the people, man. Like I was nervous when I met you. I was kind of shaky, I'd be honest with you. I've been wanting to meet you a good majority of my life, and I can report, folks, Eddie Deezen could not be nicer, so make sure you go and check him out. But I want to ask you, man, what do you consider in your career the thing that you're most proud of thus far?
I would say, even though it was a small part, probably the biggest effect ever has got to be Grease, because it's such an effect. Grease is like with Citizen Kane or The Wizard of Oz. I think it's that big of a movie now worldwide. And I've talked to so many people who had affected. Even though I have a small role, I think I'm proudest of that because just to be a part of it, even though I'm a small part, I always go, it's like being in the battlefield scene in Gone with the Wind. Remember Gone with the Wind? There's
Oh
the
yeah.
battle scene and all these dead bodies, there's tens of thousands of dead bodies, and it's this huge shot, but every one of those guys for the rest of their lives, they play, I'm in Gone with the Wind. I was in Gone with the Wind.
I'm dead bloody number 6.
And as small as it was, I was a part of Greece. I was Eugene in Greece. That would probably be the biggest. Second would be Polar Express because so many people have told me they love that as a Christmas movie, and because I love Tom Hanks so much, it meant so much to me to work with my favorite actor, Tom Hanks. So those will be my top two. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Is there a role or character that you would deem off limits and not be interested in playing as an actor?
Oh, that would be, let's see. That's a great one. I wouldn't be that big on playing a really dramatic role. I don't think I'm capable of it. I wouldn't necessarily like to do it. I like doing comedy and, something like Shakespeare or something very serious, Eugene O'Neill. That wouldn't be for me. I like doing comedy. I prefer doing comedy. That's what I like doing. And that's pretty much what I'm capable of.
We were talking about conventions earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What is the strangest thing that a fan of yours has ever asked you to do? Is there anything that sticks out in your mind?
Yes, I was at a show once. I think it was with me and Denise. I think it might have been with me and Stevie, but it was a show. The weirdest to sign, my favorite signing would be the women's breasts. I've signed 3 women's breasts. Literally the breasts they could sign, and I literally signed a woman's breast 3 times. So that was the coolest. But the most odd, I think, was it was a man, and he had a case on a necklace attached to it was a case. What is it? He says, would you sign this? Sure. What is it, sir? He goes, this is my dead wife.
What?
This is my wife. Yeah, she was cremated. He had her ashes in this container, and I signed the container. I signed on his dead wife. This happened earlier. This was last year, 2025, I think it was. Yeah, but that's the strangest.
Well, I mean, was his wife a fan of yours? I would hope.
I don't know. I don't remember what he said, but that kind of got me. And I try to be real careful. I signed it very carefully, but he wanted me to sign it. And he walks with us every day, carries around every day.
That did not disappoint, Eddie. That was way beyond. Wow.
Yeah.
That's does it, you still think about it? Like I would, that's so damn bizarre. Like I think I would probably still live rent free in my head.
Want to hear my weird fan encounter? This is one of my favorite fan encounters.
Yeah.
It's a celebrity / fan encounter, but you don't know till the end of the story. But I was doing a signing show. This is about a year or two ago. And I'm there at a show. And a man walked in on his hands. This guy had no leg. It was a torso, 2 arms, and a head. Okay. So he comes walking on his hands. He has these big muscular arms. He uses his hands. He has no legs and no bottom. He has like half his body from the torso up. So he comes walking in. So I run over to the guy because we do this here. Denise and I try to do it at every show. You single out maybe one person. You go, this is an otherwise challenged person, somebody in a wheelchair, somebody who's deformed or whatever. And you go, would you like a free autograph, sir? Please pick one. And they'll pick, what they want. So I run up to this guy, I go, excuse me, sir. I go, if you want a free picture, please come to my table. I'll be glad to give you one. He goes, oh, Mr. Potato Head. So the guy knew me from War Games. He knew I was Mr. Potato's guy. Oh, that's kind of cool. He knew who I was. So he walks off on his hands. So I'm back at my table about 20 minutes later. I see the guy walk in on his hands again. He comes over. I see him walking on his hands. He comes up to my table. I go, hi, how are you, sir? Please feel free to pick a picture. So he looks over the pictures and all. I think he picked one from Greece. He picked the Greece picture. And I asked his name and I signed the guy's name and I gave it to him. He put it under his arm and he walked away on his hands. And I go, oh, that was nice. I go, I met that guy and, he seemed like a very nice guy and I gave him the free picture. And the guy with me, he goes, do you know who that was? Don't you know who that was? I go, no, who was? He goes, that was E.T. I go, what? He goes, that's the guy.
The guy was in the suit.
The guy was E.T. and he doesn't have any legs. But that was the guy that played E.T. He got my picture and I met E.T. that way.
Wow, that's so.
Isn't that a weird one?
That is a weird one, but I think it's pretty odd because I have one of my best friends. He's a comedian. He's a paraplegic, and it's funny because like you don't even understand until you like either meet or you know somebody in that position, just what they're up against. Like I've learned so much, about the disabled community just from being friends with him, and that's such dedication. Like you think it'd be so hard just walking around your hands and then getting out and getting to a convention and then going all that.
I assume it would be, yeah.
I just did. Oh, that's just so admirable. But
and this guy, like Greece, this guy won the lottery. Could he have possibly ever imagined that he would be E.T.? He's probably a multimillionaire. Obviously, he's known all over the world.
I bet you his residual checks are pretty crazy, huh?
His residual checks must be so crazy. Yeah.
If they were gonna make a biopic of your life, Eddie, who do you feel would play a good Eddie Deezen?
That's a great one. I don't know if it's been asked. That's a great question. It has to be now. So let's see. Boy, I don't know who would be similar to me. That's a great question. Let me think about that one, Mike. I don't know, because that is a great question. I'm surprised I don't remember any interview somebody asking me
Well, I'm
that.
glad because I know you've probably been asked hundreds of things, and I hate asking the same thing you heard a zillion
It's
times.
totally okay because
I'm
there's
sure it
only
gets
so many
boring
questions.
too, man, because you've answered.
Well, there's only so many questions. It's like what happens when you interview Ringo or Paul? You interview Paul McCartney or Ringo. What can you possibly ask them they haven't been asked?
I'll tell you what I would do personally because they've
Okay.
been answered so much. I would ask them anything other than stuff that related to the Beatles. I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, what was your favorite like sandwich?" You
Right.
know, like
You say what exactly? What was the best? What's your favorite sound? What's your favorite book? What's the best book
mm.
there? I'd ask him something like that.
I got
Exactly.
some fun stuff for you at the end here that I'm really hoping that you've never answered before. So, but
Okay. Okay. Now a guy was on the tangent with you and me, and he asked Ringo, which is kind of clever. He goes, "Tell me something about yourself you've never told anybody." That's kind of clever. And Ringo got hostile. He said Ringo got hostile. Ringo said, "You expect me to fucking tell you?" He goes, "Like I'm gonna tell." He said Ringo got kind of mean. He said Ringo said, "I'm not gonna tell you something." I'm not like the
you know
guy's.
what though, man? I feel like that's Ringo's charm. I
Yeah.
kind of like the fact that he's snarky. I love Ringo doing that
Yeah.
stuff. And like, and
Ringo
I
knows
feel he
ego
kind of
very good.
deserves it though, because like people kind of gave him a hard time for so long.
Yeah.
And now that he's one of the last remaining Beatles, people are trying to kiss his ass. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like he deserves to kind of lash out at people a little bit. They
Maybe
played this
so.
famous clip on Howard all the time about him telling his fans, like, I'm not signing any more fan mail after this. I'm warning
Yeah.
peace and love. I'm just going to go right to
Yes.
rubbish. That's one of my
Yeah.
favorite clips of all time. It makes me laugh.
I'm kind of weird on that one. I'm weird on that one because I'll get those at my PO box. Eddie, can I have a signed picture? And because that's how I make my living. Now we do shows and you get $40 a picture. So why should I send this guy a free picture? So, but in the old days, they would do it. They would send me a picture and they send me a self-stamped addressed envelope. And sure, you can have my autograph and all, but now I'm kind of ambivalent because that's how I make my living.
Well, not only that, I mean, there isn't enough hours in the day to like to please people like that. I mean, I think it's
The
just like
delusion. Whereas, remember, Mike, I'll get maybe one of these a week. I'll get maybe one request like that. Ringo must be him and Paul McCartney. They must get thousands of requests every week, so they can't possibly.
I'm just saying whether it doesn't really matter about your what how famous or unfamous you are. It's just like you said earlier, you have a life. I could barely do things. I'm not a celebrity by any means, but I could barely even try to keep up on my everyday life. I mean,
Yeah,
so yeah, for anybody, it's any sort of celebrity, it's got to just add to more difficulty, I would
right.
think.
I remember. It's funny when I was a little kid. I remember. You know who I wrote one to that I got a beautiful letter back. Or no, I actually got two. When I was a little kid, and I think I must have read her book or something. I don't even know why, because I wasn't a huge fan. But I wrote a letter to Doris Day. Doris
Oh
Day.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't crazy about her, but she seemed like a nice lady. But I wrote her, she sent me back the nicest letter. She sent me back a silly picture and a nice letter. And, no reason, just she was a nice lady. And I did it with, when I saw Splash, I kind of had a crush on Daryl Hannah.
oh yeah, who
And
did?
I wrote her a letter.
Still do, I
She,
think.
yeah, she was so great in that movie. But I sent her a letter and all, and she didn't respond. And I had this manager named Brad Waysford who happened to know her. And he told her how much it meant to me and all. And she sent me back the most beautiful letter on pink stationery. It was beautiful with
See, man,
little
that's the stuff.
on it.
That's the stuff that really
Big
like
letter.
that means so much. Like that's the
Yeah.
stuff that just sticks with you. Like
Yeah. Again, you realize how much it means to them. But again, like we're talking, Mike, the other side of the coin is you realize they have a life. They don't have time to do this all the time. It would be nice if they could, if Tom Hanks could answer every letter and say, "Oh, thanks for
I'm
writing."
sure if he had
We
time,
just
he
don't have
would
the
love
time.
to. He just
Yeah.
doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
Eddie, what do you think your life would have been like had you not got into acting? What would you like earlier? Would you say you'd be at the Dairy Queen, or would it be something?
Maybe I would be, I don't know. Or like I say, I'm being honest, I might be dead. I don't know what I would have done with myself. Who knows if I would have survived. I've had so many lucky breaks with this, and I don't know how I would have survived in the real world. People go to their jobs and they have responsibility and go in the real world. I don't know if I was capable of that. Maybe I would have. Maybe, when you're hungry and you got to support a family, or you get hungry and you have to go out and get a job. Maybe I would have got a real job. Who knows? Maybe I would have eventually got the Dairy Queen. I don't know. Let's say I was out there for 5 years. And when I was out there, my dad supported me. Every month he would send me $400, which was very nice of him. In those days, that was a lot of money. But let's say I was out there for 5 or 6 or 7 years and I didn't get anything. And dad said, I can't support you anymore. Could I survive? I might have gone back home and I might have got a Dairy Queen job.
So your folks were always very supportive of your, you want to act.
My mom definitely was, and dad was nice. Dad and I didn't necessarily get along when I was a kid. We had some rough time, but he was very kind and at least he supported me financially. He definitely supported me.
Well, So let's finally chat into a little bit of your foray in the B movie horror because I am a
Sure.
humongous horror fan, and I mean, growing up, that's some of my favorite stuff.
Mhm.
Do you remember or kind of can you even remember what it was like working on Beverly Hills Vamp? How did that all come to
Well,
be?
yeah, well, that was not that wasn't Fred, was it? Was that Fred Olin Ray? Was that Grant Waldman?
Fred Olin, right?
That was Fred. Well, Fred, I love. I love Mob. In fact, it's funny you say that. I was watching on Tubi, Mob Boss is on Tubi now. And I
Mm.
was watching Mob Boss again last night. I go, I'm terrible in this, but I realized how great Morgan Fairchild was. Morgan Fairchild was really good in that movie. I love working with Morgan. She was great. But I love working with Fred. He's one of the best directors I ever worked for.
I love
It
Fred.
was it was very loose. Fred's a very loose, easygoing director. Whereas, what's funny? I work with Spielberg and I work with Bob Zemeckis, and they're the same way. They're very loose. They let you ad lib. They're not, and some directors that, have a bug up their ass. They're not that nice. Some lower directors aren't necessarily that nice. But all three of those directors, who I love all three of them, they were very loose. You could ad lib. It was easy. All the actors were nice in Beverly Hills Vamp. They were totally nice. And yeah, but was that with Linda? Linda was my co-star in that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Linda was. What became of her? She was a totally nice, pretty girl.
It's
Linda.
it's funny because I don't feel like she really went on to do too much after that.
Yeah,
Not real sure what happened. My biggest question is how come there isn't a big official release of that film?
you're
That's
right.
still
Maybe
that's
there
still
should
kind of a hard sought after kind of film. In fact,
kind of a hard.
before I found a laser disc port, believe it or not, on the internet. But before that, they had played it on some channel on YouTube, and I actually had to piece it all together because it's not officially available in any
Yeah,
capacity.
what's funny, Mike, is that we're talking about that. The same thing was with Mob Boss. People were telling me, "Where do you get Mob Boss? I want to see Mob Boss in the air." And now it's on Tubi. Now you can just go and push a button and watch it on Tubi. Anybody can watch it in the world, so it's there. So hopefully, with Beverly Hills Vamp, maybe they'll put it on Tubi.
I'm really hoping because
It's
like
so
I'm a
wonderful.
physical media collector and like I want that in my collection. I have Teenage Exorcist. That's pretty easy to find. But Beverly Hills Vamp, I still tell people about it and it's not ever been officially, but I'm hoping with in the advent of all these lower budget horror movies
Right.
becoming popular and released, like I'm a big fan of Psycho Cop Returns and they finally put that out and that's
Okay.
like
Okay.
but yeah, I'm hoping they will. I mean, yeah, that's always puzzled me. Like, but I mean, do you have any fond memories of making that movie? Like, what was it fun? It seemed like everybody was having a good time making that movie. It
It
just,
was. It was so nice. Everybody on the cast. Fred runs a fun set. Everybody's nice. Joe Zimmerman was nice. I remember we're with him, and just all the actors were so wonderful in that. Was Robert Quarry in that one?
I believe so. Yeah,
Robert Quarry was the nicest guy. I think he was in Mob Boss too. He was nice, but
yeah, I know he was in that.
yeah, I have more memories of Mob Boss. I don't know why, but I think Beverly Hills Vamp was first, right? And then I think
Yeah,
Mob Boss was the next year.
yes.
But yeah, but they were both fun. Fred is one of the finest directors. We're still Facebook right now. He's right
Oh,
there
that's
on.
awesome. Like I met him once. He was super cool.
Yeah, you can. I think you'll have you as a friend. He's very accessible on Facebook.
I have him as a friend. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he's a wonderful, super nice guy. And
Did
then,
you enjoy doing horror comedy? Would you ever do another horror comedy? You think?
oh, of course, yeah, to work with Fred anytime. Yeah, to work with him
You
anytime.
hear that, Fred?
Horror comedy, I don't mind. Any kind of comedy, I don't mind.
They should do a sequel to Beverly Hills Vamp. Why don't they do
Yeah,
a sequel?
that would be fun.
I'm gonna message him. I think we need to
Yeah.
make this happen for sure. But now I actually yeah, I wanted to ask you, I was mentioning earlier, I try to come up with some fun questions that hopefully you've never heard before because
Sure.
I know it. I just can't imagine having to answer all this stuff. Well, that's why I'm so appreciative when people even come on here and want to talk to me. But
It's my pleasure. You're
let
a
me
super nice guy. Please
oh
ask.
thanks, man. I appreciate it. This
Sure.
means a lot to me. I hope you're having as good a time as I am. But
I am.
let me ask you, what is the best gift anyone's ever given you?
The best gift. I know that. That's a great answer. I remember okay, I'm going to say that. Oh, okay. I have two answers and I have two clear answers. When I was a kid, they always go, "What was your best Christmas gift?" I always think that great. And then this was my best Hanukkah gift they ever got. When I was a little kid, I got a Three Stooges punching bag. I was about
Oh,
6 years old.
nice.
I love the Three Stooges. And it was one of those bags you could hit and it would bounce back up. And it had Curly, Moe, Larry. And I loved that. I had so much fun. Every day I would come in and I just hit it and it would bounce back up. That was my most joyous gift. I got the most pleasure out of. The nicest present I ever got was one Christmas, this nice family gave me a free trip to Graceland. They knew I was an
Oh,
Elvis fan. And they said, "Eddie, we want to go to Graceland." And they took me to Graceland. We had peanut butter and banana sandwiches. We missed Priscilla by 1 week. Unfortunately, she was visiting the week. That was the only bad thing. But we saw Elvis's room, all the stuff, Elvis's guitars, and I got to have a full trip to Graceland. So that was the nicest gift I ever got that I got the most joy out of. It was like a 3-day trip, and it was so much fun.
wow. Let me ask you this, Eddie. What's one thing about you, hobby or otherwise, that fans may find surprising?
Hobby about me. Okay, let's see. That's a great question. What would I like? I love to read. I love music. I love Facebook. Um, Girl watching, sports, baseball. I'm a baseball encyclopedia, you know. I have a really weird mixy memory, but for some reason I have an odd mind with baseball numbers. For instance, ask me Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio, Ty Cobb. Ask me any of those people, Sandy Koufax. Ask me any, and I'll tell you their stats. Or ask me any pennant winner, and I'll tell you any stat from 1900 to 1988. I'll tell you anybody who won the pennant and who won the World Series. Ask me any of those.
Is that like a photographic memory?
Yeah, for some reason I have a photograph memory just in that area.
I couldn't even ask you yet because this might be unbelievable to you, but I have never followed sports in my entire life.
Oh, you're not into the playoffs? Okay. I'm
I'm
looking.
not into any sports at all.
Oh, okay.
My wife watches
Different.
football, and I sit
Everybody's
here and I
different.
read.
Yeah, we've lost. I love betting. Denise will take us sometimes. They have a casino out here. It's about an hour's drive, and Denise will take us there. And I love betting on the football games. It's a joy. My friend and I, when I lived in LA, we had our own bookie. His name was Howard. He was a nice guy, and we would bet the football games every week. You know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but it was just fun. And I just enjoy that kind of gambling. First of all, you get 2 hours worth of entertainment, 2 or 3 hours, and it's just one game. Whereas blackjack, I will play blackjack and I could lose $1,000 if I stay at the table. You know, I'm that bad. Sometimes I won, but usually I lose. To be a good gambler, you have to be really cool and calm and collected. And I'm just the opposite. I'm very emotional.
Same.
So football, you can be emotional. It doesn't affect the game either. They're going to play the game no matter how you act.
In fact, watching the people get so into it is more interesting to me than watching the game, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
My wife goes berserk.
Well, you know how the Super Bowl is like a national holiday in America. I've met people who say I watch Super Bowl. Why they say I like the commercials to go
I
because
used to do that,
yeah,
like when we should watch it. But it seems like everything's changed though. All the commercials are on the internet like a week before the Super Bowl. So
that's interesting. Yeah, probably nowadays. Yeah.
What does society regularly do that pisses you off?
Oh, I don't like the overemphasis on politics now. How we've got to be so political. You know, the horrible recent shooting. You know that poor lady got shot. It's a horrible tragedy, and people are trying to politicize it. Both sides. You know, I'm not going to go to who my side is, but you know, I hate that. I think it's kind of creepy. When I was a kid, the Democrats, Republicans always had a rivalry, but it was more of just a rivalry. You know, nowadays they hate each other's guts. You know, there's really this.
I'm there.
You're in like a civil war society. We're in the union.
Like I feel it's very scary.
Confederacy. Yeah, yeah. It's really creepy how we can have this president and one side views him as Jesus Christ, the second coming, and some view him as Hitler. And you realize we're all seeing the same films of that lady being shot and how
I'm personally at camp number 2, but I mean, yeah, it's a scary time. Like
it's a scary time. I wonder if it's going to be that way from now on, though. I think that it was kind of that way with Biden, not quite as much, but it's getting worse. It was that way with Obama. But it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like we're going in the right direction. We just keep going further
south. Because, what friendship is, when you realize the basis of friendship or love is there's some kind of agreement. When you love a girl, when you fall in love with a girl, you go, this is a beautiful girl. And you talk and, maybe she'll like baseball or maybe she likes the Three Stooges or the Beatles and you have something in common. If you meet a beautiful girl and you have nothing in common, it's kind of a drag, even though they're beautiful and they don't, they're just a drag person. It's not that much fun. So, and all your best friends you'll see, they likes the same stuff as you. They all like Facebook or they like the football playoffs. So they like Tom Hanks or whatever. And there's stuff you have in common. You go, yeah, I want to hang out with this guy. I want to talk with this guy. If somebody doesn't have anything in common with you, you don't really want to talk to them. That's the base of communication is there's this agreement on what you like. That's what makes the world go round. By the way, I'll answer one of your retroactive questions, Mike. Ask something you don't know. I love haircuts. For some reason, I love getting my haircut. Yeah, I enjoy getting haircuts. I love it. I guess a woman barber makes it more fun, but I love them cutting it, shaving back there. I love getting haircuts. I've always loved it.
That is interesting because I mean, I've been bald since I was 17. So I mean, I don't. I never was one of those dudes that was like upset about losing all my hair.
And your beard, you take care of all yourself, I guess.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
Can't remember the last time I paid for a haircut. It's been 10 years, I bet.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but let me ask you this: what do people do too much of today that you feel?
People do too much of?
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm libertarian, so I don't like to judge people whatever they like. I don't like when Denise. I love. It's important to her to smoke. I love Denise. I count on her so much. She's the most amazing woman I've ever met. She handles me for these shows. She's like my caregiver. She does everything for me. I hate to see her smoke, but because I know it hurts her health. But she loves to smoke, and I see she gets joy out of it. So as a libertarian, I go let her enjoy herself, let her smoke. But I hate it because it's contra survival for her.
Yeah, I smoked for
The
30
thing you think
years.
of. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was rough quitting. I mean, and I get it. There's still days I still remember how much I enjoyed smoking.
Yeah,
And
I used to do it, and I still smoke cigars this day, but cigars I don't inhale. Cigars you kind of just blow the smoke around and let out. That's a joy I have in life that I don't know if people know. But I love smoking a good cigar.
yeah, I switched to like as I got older, I didn't want to like put smoke in my lungs anymore because I used to
Mhm.
smoke that and marijuana. But now I just do edibles, so it's like it's
Can you smoke a cigar without inhaling? Can you do that? Because that's how you're supposed to smoke it.
yeah. I would
Yeah,
I
well
used to love
that doesn't hurt
cigars.
you.
I would still
Remember
do a nice
George
cigar.
Remember George Burns?
Oh yeah,
He smoked 15 to 20 cigars a day, and
yeah. Then he lived to be like 100.
he lived to be 100. Yeah. So,
That makes me wonder. Like, I mean, I think it's just everybody's makeup's different and your body
They
handles
neither make
things different.
Groucho was an inveterate cigar smoker. He was 86. That's a pretty good life.
Yeah,
Groucho was always smoking a cigar.
so I mean, I'm sure it is bad in some, but I think some people's body could just handle it, and some people
Yeah.
can't.
I'm kind of like you. I love smoking, but I'll try to limit it to like 2 or 3 a month. I won't smoke them every day, but like I smoke one Christmas Day and maybe I'll smoke one tomorrow. No, tomorrow we're going to see Stevie, but I try to smoke one when I get a free day and I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, I'm not opposed. Next time I see you, we'll have to smoke a cigar.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a joy for me. I love smoking them.
What's one thing you feel that you can't live without?
Um, Facebook would be one of mine. I'm literally addicted to Facebook. I'm literally addicted. I'll be on Facebook 10 or 12 hours a day. I love writing jokes. Writing is my joy. So Facebook would be one. I would say women would be another. The world without women would be the worst hell.
Yeah, no,
Guys are a bunch of, these hairy apes, women can't civilize that. There are some bad women out there, but mostly the women I believe symbolize. Women I believe help create society. Whereas men, I don't know what the world would be
we
without
help to
women.
destroy society.
Yeah, really. Well, you realize, let's look at the basic stat of crime. How much crime is committed by men and how much crime is committed by women? It's probably a ratio of what? 20 to 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say 90% is probably men.
Yeah. Denise and I will be driving out on the road and there'll be, these assholes that speed around, they're going 100 miles. And it's always a guy, it's always some idiot guy, or somebody gunning their engine.
I can picture in my head what their truck looks like too, because it's always a truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you could wipe something off this earth out of existence, what would you choose?
Oh boy, that's a great one. Maybe politics. If we could get rid of politics and just be friends, just get along somehow without politics, that would be great. The world would be so much better of a place.
I agree, man. I think that's the heartbreaking thing about now, because like you brought up a good point earlier, Eddie, about how even though people were politically divided between Democrat, Republican, and different parties, everybody could still kind of come together and put everybody's differences aside and still appreciate and love one another. And I feel like that's something that's really changed, where it's so divisive, where people just, and not just me speaking from my personal experience alone, I've lost so many family members and friends and from that stupid stuff, like from just, that I never thought would like kind of feel the ways they feel. Like I feel like it's brought out everybody's like worst, worst emotions. Like, yeah.
And you kind of, I don't leave. For instance, the girl I'm in love with, I might have mentioned that, but whatever. But I'm in love with her. She's an arch on one way, one side that's different than me. And I was with her. I love her so much, so it doesn't really affect it. But some people you really love when you'll see their opinions, and you kind of lose respect for them. You go,
that's what I'm talking about. That's rough.
Yeah. You go, how can they, I could see this stuff exists, but how can they buy this stuff? But isn't it funny, Mike, the world we live in? The Democrats will look and they'll go, how can anybody believe the bullshit of Republicans? And Republicans will be the exact same way. They'll go, how can they believe the bullshit of Democrats? So both sides, we're looking at the same thing, and we both feel the same thing.
I think the thing I just kind of do at this point is it good or is it evil? I don't even look at parties. I don't look at, any of that. I'm like, because you could tell, ultimately if something's for the greater good of society or if it's just really just a detriment. And that's how I view things now. I don't even, I don't even, I feel like I'm just not even a party at this point. I
Yeah,
just, like you
that's
said, I wish people could just treat each other nice and talk things out and
yeah.
just be empathetic to one another. But those days are far over,
Yeah,
unfortunately. I used
I
to be
mean,
a bust.
because you're a breathing, living person, you usually will look at the scene because we're part of the world, we're part of America, and we have our opinions. And I've written up minor things on Facebook, and people will PM me back, or they'll even comment on the page. They'll go, "Eddie, stay out of politics. Eddie, I don't like what you talk about." And they've made it clear they don't want that on my page, so I leave it off my page now. I will pretty much leave, like everybody's commenting on the shooting, a couple days ago. Everybody, I have my opinions on it, but I don't write anything about it. I'll PM my friends, and that's it, whatever you want. And I go, that's the thing about Facebook. If you can't find it on one page, you can find it, if they want to get trivia or a joke or whatever, go to my page. But if you want to talk politics, go to somebody else's page,
Yeah, I think you're better off anyway, because what I've learned just from this experience is people are going to die on that hill because they don't want to admit that they're wrong. So it's like, there's no good that could come from arguing with it. So, I mean,
yeah. Or they've made a decision. In other words, if we had this situation, let's say it was the exact reverse. Let's say it was the exact reverse, and the Republican guy got shot, let's say, and the Republicans would be saying, "Oh, that bastard that shot him," and the Democrats would be saying, "Oh, that guy was driving into her." They just changed
it is. It's just ridiculous.
They made their decision before they've even heard the thing or seen the film. We all saw the same films. We all saw the same stuff, and the one side all went their way, and the other side all went their way. It's totally pointless.
Yep. What's the craziest thing that you've ever done on a dare?
On a dare?
Yeah.
A great one. On a dare. Oh, I did one. It wasn't on a dare, I don't think. I remember I went through the x-ray machine at LAX. I remember we were filming Midnight Madness, and I went through that just as a lark. I think I was bored or unhappy because I didn't like doing that film. But I laid down on the x-ray. There was no guard there. And I went through the x-ray machine with the luggage. And, and the guy,
funny. I thought about doing that every time I see it.
Because now it's so guarded you can't do it. But in those days, it must have been a slow day. We were filming at LAX. I think it was like a closed set, and we were filming there. And I went through it, and the guy goes, "What are you doing? Are you crazy? You could electrocute yourself." But luckily, no harm done. I don't think.
What's one thing that you tried that you would absolutely never try again, Eddie?
Let's see. I ate a cockroach once. I remember chocolate. No, you know what it was? It was a chocolate. Guy goes, "Eddie, I got you some chocolate." So he gives me chocolate.
Oh,
it was
no.
a covered grasshopper. I ate it. That was crunchy. And he goes, "That was a chocolate covered grasshopper." Go, "What?" And I ran out and I drank water. I think that happened in school, but I would not want to eat a grasshopper again.
Have you, Eddie, ever had any experiences with the supernatural?
That's a great question. I'm trying to think. I did leave my body once. I left my body once. I was doing something, tapping a wire, something, and I felt myself above my head, and I saw myself, and I realized I'm exterior. I've left my body. It only happened to me one time. Oh, and this happened, Mike. You might think it's weird. I swear to God. But once I was going through the wall, touching a wall, and I went through the wall. I know it sounds crazy, and I wasn't on drugs.
No. I don't.
I went through it. I touched the wall. There was no wall there. Something. It was like an invisible. I don't know. I think when you reach a real high state, you can see that or feel yourself. Because I've talked to people. They go, "I've left my body." Yeah, that's as far as it is. I've contacted past lives. I've definitely contacted my past lives, a lot of past lives. Yeah. Yeah. And they're very real to me. If it's not real for you, it's not. And I used to think it was the stupidest thing. We haven't lived past lives. That's stupid. But now they're very real to me.
Yeah, that's one of those things that you kind of question until it happens to you.
Yeah.
Because when I was younger, I kind of always questioned that stuff. I never believed in it till you have those experiences. Then you're like, oh, wow. There's definitely things that are unknown. But
absolutely.
Who would you say is the coolest celebrity you've ever met?
The coolest, let's see. Well, Tom Hanks was up there. The two nicest, I swear, they're my two favorite stars. What about would be Tom Hanks and John Travolta were the two nicest. Olivia was so nice. I said, okay, Mom and I went to see Olivia Newton-John. This is years ago. It was 2017. We were in Las Vegas, and we went to her show, and she's singing. She stops the show. She goes, "I want to bring an old friend of mine up on stage."
Oh, nice.
So they called me up. I went on stage. Mike, it was the only standing ovation I ever got. There was a standing ovation for like 2 or 3 minutes. They stood and they clapped because of me and Olivia, I'm there with Olivia. She couldn't have been nice. She was so sweet. And then we were talking, and I go, "You're still as beautiful as you were when we did Grease." She took me aside. She goes, "Eddie, I want you to come up to my room after the show." And she gave me what room it wasn't on. Mom and I went up to her room after the show, and she talked to us for like a half hour. She got to meet Mom, and her and my mom were both angels. They're the two nice ladies, and they got to really know each other. So that was really important to me. I'd say Olivia would be up there. She was really super nice.
It's really nice to hear that she's as nice as you think like she
Yeah,
can be.
she was. Yeah. Spielberg was nice, incredibly nice. Bob Zemeckis is an incredibly nice man, just super nice people. Yeah.
Has any of these people ever given you advice that you actually use today?
That's a great one. Let's see. Tom Selleck gave me advice about picking up women. I remember when we did the Magnum PI that I was with a softball team called the Buzzettes. They were a girls team. And one of these girls was hot for me. She literally crushed me. She was after me. And I remember Tom was giving me advice about women that night and all. And I forget what he said, but there was a club there called Club Hubba Hubba. I go, should I take Club Hubba Hubba? And he goes, no, that's a dive. I remember he told me that. And he gave me advice about picking up women or getting women. This is Tom Hanks telling me,
Did it work?
But I wish I could remember his advice, but I don't remember the rest of it. But I remember hearing that.
Did you utilize it? I mean, did it work? Did you notice
I don't know. You know what's weird is because I had this girl in the palm of my hands, but she wasn't attractive to me. She was a pretty girl, but she just wasn't attractive to me. So it was one of those
like personality.
Yeah, it just didn't click yet. Have you ever had that, Mike? We've all had first of all, the dichotomy. Have you ever liked a girl and she was kind of weird or offbeat or weird looking? And I was attracted. That happened.
Yeah, I like that. That's what I like. But no, I've actually had people that, believe it or not, was interested in me. And I just wasn't interested in them because I don't feel like we had the same vibe or we really would connect.
Yeah, there wasn't that attraction.
We weren't into the same thing.
Guys, it's usually a physical attraction. Guys, it's usually a physical attraction. She was a really beautiful girl, but she didn't attract me physically for whatever reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. But I only have a couple more for you, man. And let me ask you, you've made so many people laugh over the years, and I find you to be hysterical. But what I want to know is, what is a surefire way to make Eddie Deezen laugh?
That's a great question. A very clever joke. I will laugh, when I see a scene in a movie. I'm definitely a laugher. I love to laugh. Somebody says something genuinely clever or genuinely funny or original, I will laugh. I'm definitely a laugher. Now, comedians are interesting. Some are laughers. I knew Tim Conway very well. He was a giggler. He was a laugher. And I would say anything to him and he would break up. But some comedians are the opposite. They're very serious. And, in real life, they're very almost morose. Like Woody Allen's I've never heard Woody Allen, laugh. He's kind of like serious, thinks about death. So it's kind of weird, but I'd say something like that. Again, my favorite acts, I'll still laugh at the Marx Brothers. I'll still laugh at I'll be watching the Three Stooges and they'll still make me laugh. Curly or Shemp will still make me laugh.
Yeah, I watch the Stooges probably every other week.
So they're intense.
Since I was a kid. I never get sick of it. It never gets old to me,
Yeah.
Did you ever see that TV movie that Mel Gibson did about the Stooges' life?
It was all right. It was okay.
There was things I liked about it.
It's hard to capture that.
I don't feel like they ever really have kind of captured the essence of the Stooges in film.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Lastly, do you have a message of hope in this crazy time for people? How do you think we can all kind of just come together and make the world a better place?
I don't know what to say because I think most of the hatred comes from politics. That's where most comes from. I think mostly if you talk to people and let's say they're really bad politics and you take them out of the realm of politics and you'll find they're very nice people. You talk to them about music or the Beatles or girls or men or whatever you want to, anything, the weather, baseball. And you find most people are pretty nice people. I'd say 80 or 90% of the world is made up of pretty nice people. There are dicks and assholes out there, but they're very much in the minority. Whereas in politics, you kind of turn to them. We kind of get our fangs bear out and you kind of become a mean person. So I say maybe try to stay out of politics. Dick Van Dyke is 100. They said, what's your secret? He said, I've never really hated anybody. He said, I don't feel hate for anybody. I don't feel disdain. And maybe that's it, right? Maybe we should all love each other in spite of how you feel politically. You try to look at the person, because I know people in my own family were different than me politically, and yeah. So I'd say that would be the best way to look at it. Realize you are a spirit, realize you are a spiritual being, realize there is karma. When you hurt somebody, it is going to come back to get you, So realize you are a spirit, whether you like it or not. You're always going to be here. I'm telling you the truth. I'll give you a bit of wisdom for my last thing. You're always going to be here no matter what. Whether you believe it or not, you're going to always be here. You're not going to always have this body, but you're an immortal spirit.
Well, there you have it. Profound words from Mr. Eddie Deezen. I want to thank you. But before we end this, can you tell everybody how to find you on the net and we can follow you on all the, the things you got going?
Sure, yes. Please go to my Facebook page. Please be a follower. I can't have any more friends, but please be a follower on my Facebook page. I put my jokes and my posts out every day. That's my joy. And I think it may go to TikTok now. Some of my stuff's on TikTok or Instagram, so you can find me there. But you can find me most on Facebook. So please see me on Facebook, and I'd love to see you there. Thank
And
you.
I have to say, I'm great. I do every day look at the stuff you post, and it does bring me joy. It's always funny. So, yeah, I'm going to put them links up for that, Eddie. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this. It's been a long time coming to me, and it meant a lot to me, bro. And I hope you have an incredible weekend. And peace and love, bro. Peace and love. I'll continue to be checking everything you do out. And I
Thank you.
hope you have a wonderful day, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful new year, too. Have a great year in 2026, Mike. I hope all your dreams and goals happen.
I'm working on it, man. You too.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.